In October 2017, we first saw Sally Carman on Corrie as Seb's drug-addled mum, Abby Franklin. Since then, the character's cleaned up and moved onto the street, although she does still have her fair share of issues to overcome. Sal, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, no problem at all. It's a pleasure.
So you've been on Corrie now for coming up to 2 years. How would you describe your time there so far?
Well, it's a funny one because it's just flown. So on one hand, it feels like I've been there 2 minutes, and on the other hand, it feels like I've been there forever. And I do remember when I first sort of turned up, it felt really familiar, and I felt really comfortable. That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's been brilliant. I had a ball. Everyone's so lovely, and I know people always say that, but I've been on jobs where that's not always the case. But it genuinely is in this instance. That it's just a really, really gorgeous place to work.
Yeah. Had you been much of a Corrie watcher before getting the role?
Oh, yeah. I was an avid Corrie fan, more or less my whole life. It's tailed off in the last few years, just being busy and stuff like that. But certainly, growing up, I was a huge fan, to the point where the first time I managed to speak to Barbara Knox, I told her about how she inspired me to be an actress.
Really?
The Alan Bradley storyline with the trams in Blackpool. I remember getting, I must have been about 10, something like that, and I remember getting shivers up my spine when she was acting, and I remember telling her this, and she was really touched. It was a really sweet moment, and it was just, it was a mad moment for me because she's an icon. She's this amazing actress. So yeah, it was something else that. But yeah, she was a real influence on me becoming an actor.
So did it make it more nerve-wracking to join Coronation Street, kind of going into something that you were such a fan of, or does it just make it more exciting?
It made it more exciting, and I knew quite a few people on it as well, just because, as you get older as an actor, your world becomes smaller, and you kind of bump into a lot of people. So it kind of felt, like I said, really familiar, but in a really lovely way. So it was nervous, as in, you're meeting a lot of new people in one instance, but then it was also just really exciting. Actually, that's mainly what it was. Yeah.
Had you always wanted to give soap opera a try? Because before Corrie, you were best known for playing Kelly, another ex-heroin addict. Was soap something not that you were becoming typecast or anything?
There's a theme, isn't there?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but yeah. I guess it's funny because I've had about 10 screen tests for Coronation Street over the years.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just never quite managed it. But I have to say, Jenny Radcliffe has been a massive supporter of mine the whole way through, and has been determined to get me on the show somehow. And she eventually did it. But yeah, I've screen tested a lot, so it's a job that I've always been interested in.
Who are some of the other characters that you'd screen tested for?
My memory, considering this is what I do for a living, is dreadful. I screen tested for Faye's part, Kate Connor.
Yeah.
I screen tested for Haley Tamardon's part. Can't remember what she was called.
Andrea.
I screen tested for one of the factory ladies. Can't remember. I can't really remember, but quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over the years.
What made you think that Abby is the right part for you in the end?
Well, because she was a drug-addled alcoholic mess, and for some reason that seems to resonate with the casting directors and producers. I really don't know why.
Well, one of our listeners asked, Patricia has asked, whether there was there any notion that she would become anything beyond that when you first got the role, or was that all she was going to be? Because you only were going to be in like eight episodes, I think, in your first stint, weren't you?
It was 6 episodes
Yeah.
To start with, yeah. But there was always kind of the promise that it would go on if it went down well, which it did.
Yeah.
So yes, the idea was it would, turn into something bigger. But there was always a chance that it wouldn't as well. So because you never quite know. But luckily, it worked out the way it did, and I am, for one, very grateful.
What did you make of the viewer reception to the character when you first appeared on screen, though?
Oh, I loved it. I love it. I love that edginess. I love the characters you play that are so out there. They're the most fun, like the baddies are the most fun, and all of that. You get to get your teeth into something, and I love the fact that she's really rough and ready, and I don't ever want that to change. I don't want her to become polished. I want her to stay rough, because why not? She hasn't got time to blow dry her hair, and she's got no inclination. She's a bit of a tomboy and a grease monkey and all of those things, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, Corrie's got a bit of a tradition of taking kind of ne'er-do-well characters with terrible backgrounds and transforming them into more, functioning members of society, which we have seen a bit of with Abi already. What do you think is... What do you make of the evolution of Abi's character so far, which is something that another one of our listeners, Navdeep, has asked?
Well, I guess they have to evolve to some degree, otherwise they would never be accepted within, the street, and it just wouldn't go anywhere. She would just be a mess all the time. So I guess to some point they have to be able to form friendships and relationships, because that's where the story is. But I think, there are transformations. I would like a transformation to be less of an event. I guess I would like her to constantly be on the knife edge of messing it up and just causing a bit of havoc and just being hard work. But also I did want her to be likeable. I like the fact that she has problems. I like the fact that she's real, and she's got failings, and she's been failed by society, and those scars run deep, and she doesn't always react in the right way or do the right thing, but it doesn't make her less of a person or unworthy of love and all of those things. I think that's really prevalent today. People are flawed, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, she's not going to forget her roots, is she?
No, absolutely not. No way.
I think the way that you're playing as well, I don't think the viewers are going to either. So, but part of the rehabilitation we've seen has involved her getting a job, and she's a couple of jobs she's had, haven't you? As she's recently started working in Kevin's garage again. Did you like the idea of Abi becoming the first female mechanic on Corrie?
Oh, is she the first one?
I think so.
Great. Well, I'm all right with that.
Sophie worked there for a bit, but I think she was just holding a clipboard most of the time. You've been the first one to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love being in the garage. I love working with Mike and Al. It's brilliant. It's the perfect job. And it's my favourite costume of all the costumes I've ever worn. It's my absolute favourite. I feel fantastic in it. I just love it. And it makes such a change, because normally, again, just the parts I normally get, it's wearing much less and far more uncomfortable shoes. So I'm delighted. Plus, as I'm always cold, I can wear thermals underneath, layers and layers, so it suits me down to the ground.
How funny. And it's also meant that Abi's getting a bit closer to Kevin as well, who things seem to be hotting up with at the moment. Do you think the pair are well suited?
Oh, I think there's I think, possibly. Who knows?
Not wanting to go into spoiler territory or anything.
No, I'm terrible at that. I have to be really careful, because I'm just like rubbish. So, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
That's like, well, I'm still waiting to see what happens with all these recordings that she's making of him at the moment.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. I'm sure that's going to end well, I'm sure.
But can you say at least, do you think whether Kev's better for her than either Steve or Peter would have been? Because you've had your finger in a few pies, haven't you, since it's going on to this show?
I have, yeah, she has had her finger in a few pies, so to speak. I think, it would be, because he's solid and dependable, and, he's not one to mess around, but is that what she wants? That, for all those qualities, that's not necessarily, something that sets a girl's heart on fire, or is it? Who knows? I have to say, working with Chris, that who plays Peter, that was amazing. As working with Simon, who plays Steve. I mean, that was just so much fun. Too much fun, really, because we just crack up all the time. Well, I would. I'm just absolutely hopeless. Hopeless corpse. I can't help myself. But it's let's see what happens.
I wondered with Peter whether she was just kind of interested in the idea of sailing away on his boat and leaving all our troubles behind.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element to that. Definitely. She was burying her head there. Right, yeah, Victor Peter, definitely.
Speaking of those boat scenes as well, was that really, really cold to film? It looked awful.
Oh, my goodness. It was freezing. It was absolutely freezing to the point, I think it was the first night, because that wasn't a set. We were actually on a boat outside, rigged up a ladder. And the little, I don't even know what you'd call it, the inside of it, the cabin, it was so tiny. So there would be me, Peter, and a cameraman, and we were all completely crunched up. That's why when you look at the scenes, they were all quite close. You're just like, oh, could you zoom out a bit? But you just couldn't, because it was that tight. And the first night, it was freezing. It was nearly snowing. It was wet, and we got to the point where we couldn't move our jaws. It was that cold. So how we managed to do it, I don't know. But it was such a brilliant time. We had such a good time on that.
The sacrifices you make for your craft.
I know. You're telling me.
So Abis also built up some relationships with some of the female characters too, particularly Sally and Tracy. What have you enjoyed most about working with Sal and Kate?
Oh, I tell you what, I absolutely loved it. Kate and Sal, both great actors, but brilliant women, brilliant friends. And it was just awesome, because what I love that, there was a chance to flesh out some female friendships, because a lot of the time, they like to pit females against each other and have fallings out, or you pinching someone's man and all of that nonsense. Whereas actually in real life, female friendships are, the core of any sort of woman's life, I believe. They run deep, and they're there forever, and they're lifelong commitments, and they're just, they're your family, your girlfriends. They're the ones that pick up the pieces, or that you have fun with, you celebrate with, all those things. So it's nice to see that recognised. I would love Tracy and Abby to become friends again, because that was such a great dynamic, and it's such a shame that they fell out. And I really hope the writers will pick up on that again. And I love Sally and Abby's friendship, because they're so chalk and cheese. But there's such mutual respect and love, and they just accept each other, and they help each other in very different ways. But they're just delighted with each other, and I love that. It's like they buzz off each other, and it's just great. And I love all of it. I love everything about it. The more sort of female friendships sort of storylines for me, the better.
Yeah. Speaking of friendships, another one of our listeners, Fiona, has asked whether you thought you'd be friends with Abby in real life.
No. Is the short answer to that. No, I don't know if I would. I mean, I would, I'd be pleasant, and I'd be friends in the respect that you'd sort of have a 5-minute conversation, but no more than hard work. I've got too much on, that's I've got that kind of time to put aside, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, it has been lovely seeing Abby and Sally getting together, as you said. Putting them together in the prison together was a really good move, I think, because it's together in close quarters. That's sometimes where some of the strongest friendships are forged, isn't it? When you're kind of thrown together. And it was lovely seeing Abby looking after her as well. Yeah,
all of that. I loved all of that. And, it's just great, and it was nice. And it's lovely that the viewers kind of took that to heart as well. I really appreciated that. It was nice. And
of course, working with Sally, or having scenes with Sally, has given you the chance to work alongside Joe as well. What's that been like?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, he's a brilliant actor. He really is. It's always really lovely to work with actors who can do it properly, and respect the process, and so in that respect, it's been great. Yeah, sure. It's good.
What about Harry, who of course plays your on-screen son Seb? Have you loved working with him?
I do love working with him. I love Harry to absolute bits. He's a young actor who's come on the show, and he's so eager to learn and get better and do the job. And that sounds really patronising, and I really don't mean it in that way. I mean it. I really genuinely mean it respectfully in the way that he's just getting better and better, and he listens, and he's conscientious, and he's a really sweet young man, and I've got all the time in the world for him. Yeah, he's ace. I couldn't want to have a better on-screen son, to be honest.
Yeah, we heard the same thing when we spoke to Conor McIntyre as well, that he was very keen to learn, and I think we've seen him grow as an actor over the last few years, when we can see some of Conor's acting style in Harry as well.
Yeah, well, it's really funny as well, because we did all the stuff in prison with the storyline that's out at the minute, and we had a week of doing quite a few scenes together, and we just couldn't stop laughing. We were just we were rubbish, and these were quite heavy scenes, a lot of them, but we were just cracking up every 2 minutes. But I love that. I love a good laugh. That's my favourite thing to do, is just laugh. And it was one of the best weeks I've had on Corrie so far. So that week in particular, it was brilliant fun.
Would you say that do you find that as an actor it's natural to feel some kind of protection, to feel protected towards the young actors who play your on-screen children?
Oh yeah, I think that's definitely true. Yeah, yeah, you do. You kind of all the sort of younger cast on any job, really. You kind of want to, because it can be a bit cutthroat sometimes, and you can get lost, or you lose your way a little bit, or get involved with stuff that isn't really what the job's about. And I think it's kind of your responsibility to not to give your opinion where it's not wanted, but if it's asked for, to help as much as you can, like in the way I was with actors when I was starting out. The older actors who've been around the block a little bit. It's always good to get some advice, and I'm forever grateful for the advice I got of numerous different people. So if someone asks for my advice or whatever, if for what it's worth, I will try and do my best. Yeah.
What about young Jasmine and Jacob, who played the twins? Do you feel quite motherly towards them?
They were so lovely. Well, their mum was on set all the time anyway, so I didn't really need to. But they were really great kids. They were sweet. I'm not the most maternal of women, but just because I don't quite know what I'm doing. I haven't got children, so I'm a bit rubbish. But no, they were great kids. They were really sweet. Yeah, they were fab.
What did you think of Abby's decision to give them up so they could live what she saw would be a better life?
I thought it was a very brave storyline to do, and I thought it was handled very well, because it'd be very easy to demonise Abby, and that wouldn't be fair, because this situation does happen for a lot of women, and not necessarily down to drugs or alcohol, but to circumstance, situation, and mental health. And I know from the feedback I've received over that storyline that a lot of women have gone through this. It's important to treat these situations and these that particular storyline honestly and sensitively, and I think it was, and I love the fact that they let Abby be a real rounded, emotionally rounded human being, that she was allowed to have all those emotions, and it wasn't a cold decision. It was a really hard decision, and I don't think that storyline's completely done. I think that will come up again, because it's not something you just wash your hands off and that's that boxed and put away. It's a really big deal, and there are women out there who are dealing with that situation, and I felt it was an important storyline, but I felt it was handled right. And I personally think, yes, it was absolutely the right decision. She gave her children up so they could have a better life. It was the first properly selfless thing that she'd ever done. So, I thought it was quite brave.
Yeah. Well, the scene that's really stuck with me was when you are hiding behind the fence outside their foster home, just kind of crying your eyes out, watching them and realising, they really have got a good life there.
Yeah,
I think it has been scenes like that have really helped the viewers to warm to Abby. Like you said, it has
it could have gone the other way.
Yeah, she could have just been the kind of mum that's like, I don't want anything to do with these little brats. Somebody else take them, but she's not like that, is she?
No, she's not. She's a real victim of circumstance. She's got the biggest heart, but a lot of sensitive people have to build up walls and create personas, or they have to dull their senses and emotions with alcohol or drugs, and it's a real shame. And then stuff happens which is out of their control, or they haven't got the support. So they're but for the grace of God, I guess.
So your most recent scenes on screen have seen you help Seb take down the human trafficking ring. What did you feel about being involved with this kind of issues storyline?
Again, I think it's a great storyline because, you know, this is happening in this day and age. It's, you know, it's happening and it shouldn't be. And anything that highlights it is a good thing. So yeah, I was really happy to be involved in it. It's always nice to have a storyline you can get your teeth into and get involved in, and you know, especially when you get to work with good people. And I've been so lucky, you know, with who I've got to work with. So yeah, I was really happy to get involved with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Roxandra, who plays Alina, seemed like the sweetest young girl as well.
She's gorgeous, yeah. She's just gorgeous. I mean, inside and out, I can't stop looking at her. It's like, are you real? It's like a Pixar character, you know? She's beautiful, beautiful girl. And yeah, a really good actress and a really lovely woman. So yeah, it's just a perfect casting.
Yeah, well, again, not wanting to go into spoiler territory, but I certainly hope that it's not the last that we've seen of her on Coronation Street as well.
Yeah, let's hope not.
So have you got any ideas about where you'd like to see Abby's character develop in the future?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm up for anything. I really am. I'll do anything. Yeah. I like the fact that so far I've been able to they give me funny storylines and I've had serious storylines, so I get to play about, which is great. You know, I you can't ask for more than that, really. I've not been pigeonholed in, you know, the funny corner or the serious corner. I get to play about a bit, so I'm very happy with how things are going, and if they continue like that, then, you know, no complaints here. I'm you know, leave it up to the writers, who are all brilliant, you know.
Would you ever kind of say, are you the sort of actress who would say, no, I don't think my character would do that, or I don't think that's right for my character, or are you just kind of willing to give anything a shot?
No, I guess no, I would. If I thought something was completely crazy, I would say yeah, because you get invested in your character, and you do have a through line and a backstory and all of those things. So it is important to stay truthful. But I doubt very much that there'd be anything that came up that I'd have a problem with. No. Just because the writers kind of, you know, they know the character now, and they're pretty good at, you know, sticking to what's feasible and believable. So, but if, you know, if suddenly, I don't know, I wouldn't even know what might happen. But to be fair, I think that there's quite a lot of scope with Abby, so it would take quite a lot for me to go, no, she wouldn't do that. I think. I don't know, maybe an eyelash tint, she wouldn't do that. I don't know.
So, I mean, is it your intention to stay with Corrie for a good while to come now?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, no, I'd really love to. Yes, I'm very happy to stay. Yeah,
yeah.
Definitely.
I suppose after, you know, watching it for so many years and it being kind of your dream job, you're happy to stick there.
Yeah, well, I mean, career-wise, I've done pretty much everything you could possibly do, and I feel like I've achieved the goals I've wanted to achieve, and you know, so to be able to then land a job which you love, and you know, and you're so happy in, and you get to, you know, do different storylines, and yeah, why would I go anywhere? No, I'm very happy to stay as long as they want me. Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope so, because I have to say, on a personal level, Abby's been easily one of my favourite characters that's come into the show in recent years. I love her.
Thank you. That's really sweet. Thank you very much.
No worries. Well, it's been lovely speaking to you today. Thank you so much again for coming onto the podcast.
No worries, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, lovely. And as I say, I hope that we've got a lot more to come for Abby in the future.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, have a good rest of your day then, Sal, and thanks again.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye-bye. Bye.
See ya.